Welcome everyone to Yoga Basics. Today you will need 2 chairs. So grab 2 chairs, your strap, and a block. So we'll start by sitting on the mat, either with the legs crossed, or if it's more comfortable, then the legs extended. And we'll start by just taking a few moments to relax the body. So go ahead and close the eyes and turn the attention inward. Just taking a moment to notice how your body feels. Especially noting any areas of tension or tightness. And then we'll take 2 deep cleansing breaths. So take a nice big inhale through the nose and exhale it all out by blowing or sighing it out. And one more nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then soften the muscles of the face. Relax the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And then turn the attention to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And then we'll begin a nice, even breathing, inhaling and exhaling to a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And just continue with this nice, even breathing. If at any time it makes you lightheaded or dizzy, just go back to your own normal breathing pattern. And the word yoga in Sanskrit means to yoke or union. So it is the goal of all yoga practices to unite the body, the mind, and the spirit. And we do that using the postures, our breath, and meditation. We also set an intention for each practice to help remind us why we are here. So that may be a benefit you would like to receive, or just an uplifting or positive thought or phrase. So think of an intention that you'd like to have for your practice today. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. If you do have your legs folded or crossed and you want to switch them, go ahead and do that now. And then before we begin our warm up with our neck, we're going to do a little eye yoga. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by extending one arm out in front, it doesn't matter which one, and just have your thumb pointing up. So you're going to focus on your thumb now. Now, don't move your head. So you're going to keep your head still, and you're just going to follow your thumb with your eyes. And you're going to lift that thumb up, and then come back to center, and then drop the thumb down towards the floor. Now, don't go too fast because you don't want to make yourself dizzy. Good, and then back to center. And then release the hand down. And now we're going to turn to the right, but you're going to look to the left. Good, come back to center, and then we'll look to the left, or we'll turn our heads to the left, but we're going to turn our eyes and look to the right. So you can feel those muscles in your eyeballs working. Good. And come back to center. And then blink a few times. And if you're wearing glasses, go ahead and take your glasses off. Whenever your eyes feel tired, or if you've used them like we just have with the muscles, this is a great way to help relax the muscles. So what you're going to do is put your palms together, and then you're going to rub those palms really fast and really hard. So you want to build some friction in the palms. Good, just a couple more here. So now you've created this friction or this warmth in the palms of your hands. So now cup your hands and place your palms right over your eyes. Your eyes are closed. And just let that warmth from your palms kind of penetrate the eyelids, just to relax those muscles. Good. And then go ahead and release. Again, blink a couple times. If you're wearing glasses, go ahead and put your glasses back on. So that's just a little sample of some eye yoga, working those muscles of the eyes. All right, so then we'll begin by turning and looking to the right again. Focusing on the neck, coming back to center, turning and looking left. And back to center. Drop the chin to the chest. And then picking the chin up towards the ceiling and jutting that lower jaw out. And coming back to center and dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. And back to center and left ear to left shoulder. And back to center. Extending the hands out in front, open and close the fingers. And then some wrist circles. And reverse. Good. Placing the hands in the lap and then doing some shrugs. Good. And then the next time you pick those shoulders up, roll them to the back. Good. And then bringing the elbows and the palms together. And then with the inhale, open those elbows, squeeze the shoulder blades. And exhale. Inhale, squeeze. Good. And exhale. Couple more. Good. And then releasing the hands down. Take that right hand, place it to the outside of the right hip. Inhale the left arm up and exhale as you bend to the right. And then coming back to center, switch arms, right arm up, and to exhale, bend to the left. Good. Coming back to center, coming into a twist. Left hand on the right knee. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and then exhale, bring that right hand around behind you as you turn and look to the right. And then releasing back to center, switch hands. Again, inhale to lengthen, and to exhale, now turn and look to the left, bringing that left hand around behind you. Good, and then release back to center. If you did have the legs crossed or folded, extend the legs. And then just shake those legs out a little bit. The blood flowing again. Taking the hands now, placing them behind the right thigh. Pulling the knee in and extending it out. And the next time you pull the knee in, hold it there, point and flex the foot. And ankle circles. And reverse. Good. And then switch legs, same thing, just bend and extend. And that last time, pull it in, hold it there, point and flex the foot. And then some ankle circles. And reverse. Good. And then release that left leg, and we'll come onto hands and knees. Feel free to open up your blanket if you'd like to pad the knees and shins. So as you make your way into a tabletop position, you want to stack the wrists under the shoulders and knees under the hips. And we'll start in our spinal warm-up of cat-cow. So with an inhale, lift the chest and the sits bones, arch the spine. And then with the exhale, as you press into the hands, round the upper back, tucking the chin to the chest for cat. And then inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Good, and once more, inhale and exhale. And then bringing the spine back to neutral, pushing the hips back towards the heels, coming into child's pose. Stacking the fists to support the head, and just taking a few breaths here. And then with your next inhale, extend the arms out in front of you. Come back up to that tabletop position. From here, you're welcome to come into puppy pose, extending the hands about a hand's length in front of you. And then exhale, dropping the chest down towards the floor, or downward facing dog, curling the toes, lifting the hips, pressing into the hands. Extending through the spine, keep a little bend in the knees, and then straightening one leg and then the other. Good. Taking a break when you need to. Good. And then with your exhale, go ahead and bring those knees back down to the mat. If you're in puppy, come back up to hands and knees. And then from here, we're going to come up to standing. So either step a foot forward if you'd like to come up that way, or curl the toes, rolling back onto the balls of the feet and coming up. All right. So for right now, we'll get to the chairs in a minute. We're going to come to the top of the mat. I'm going to stand in the center here so you can see me. But we'll start by standing in mountain pose or Tadasana. So feet are about hip width apart and parallel with one another. Finding the four corners of the feet. So the area between the inner and outer edges of the balls of the feet, back to the inner and outer edges of the heels. Distributing the weight in the middle so you can wiggle your toes. There shouldn't be any weight in your toes. And then lift up through the arches, tighten the front of the thighs, lift and tighten the abdominals, bringing the arms alongside the body a few inches away from it, palms facing each other. And then focus on the spine. Lengthen up from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Good. And then you want to lift the chest. So if you pick those shoulders up, pull them down the back so the chest is lifted, keeping your chin parallel to the floor and gazing forward. Coming back to that even breath that you had at the beginning of the practice. And just taking a few breaths here. Good. So we're going to come into chair pose. We're going to do a little variation with the arms. So we're going to turn the palms forward, lift the arms out to the side and just a little bit above the shoulders. So keep your shoulders pulled down. Take a nice big inhale, and with your exhale, begin to bend the knees, pushing the weight back in the hips as you come forward. Now, keeping your arms out here will help to keep that chest lifted. Now, glance down, make sure you can see your toes, and your knees are staying in line with those toes. Good. And then continue to breathe. Good. Take another full breath. Good. And then we'll inhale, come on up, and exhale, bring the arms down, wiggle it out a little bit. And then we're going to come into warrior one. So now I am going to turn. So you should be at the top of your mat. And we'll start by shifting the weight into the left leg. Then you're going to bend the right knee. And as you step that right knee back and press the heel down, then bend the left knee. Probably going a little bit wider here. So it's a relatively narrow stance. If you look down, your left heel should be just about in line with your right heel. Now, if that's too narrow, then you can step your right foot out a little bit. The right foot is only angled at about 15 degrees because we want our hips to be facing forward. So we're going to pull the left hip back, push the right hip forward. Bring the arms alongside the body so that torso is lifted. Tighten your right buttock. That's going to give you some stability in this back leg. And then with the inhale, sweep those arms up. Pull the shoulders down. Good. And then gazing forward, continue to breathe. Again, that nice, even breathing. Good. And then with the exhale, don't move your legs. Just sweep the arms down and then fold them behind your back, holding on to your opposite forearm right in the small of the back. So now we're going to come into what's called humble warrior. So keeping the legs exactly as they are, take a nice big inhale, and then as you exhale, you're going to bend from the hip and bring the chest forward. Good. Keep your neck in line with the spine here. So you probably felt that weight shift forward into that left leg. Keep breathing. Good. Then press into that left leg as you inhale. Bring the torso back up. And then straighten your left knee. So now both legs are straight. We're going to come into a pretty intense hamstring stretch. So just make sure that you listen to your body. Back off of it if you need to. All right, so inhale to lengthen. And then exhale, again, you're bending from the hip. So keeping your arms behind your back helps you to open up through the chest and keep the chest open. See if you can come at about a 45-degree angle, and you're going to feel that stretch mainly in the left hamstring. So make sure you're paying attention. Just a deep stretch. There shouldn't be any pain or discomfort. Good. And then inhale, go ahead and lift the torso. Good. Release your arms. Shake it out. Now, you can bend that left knee so that you can step that right foot forward. And then we'll try it on the other side. I'm going to turn around so you can see me a little bit better. All right, so starting with the feet together, then we'll shift the weight over to the right leg. Bend the left knee. As you step it back and press the heel down, then bend the right knee. Kind of have to, play around with the proper stance for you. If you're a little bit wider, you can probably come forward a little bit easier than if your stance is narrow. All right, so that right knee is right over the right ankle. You're going to tighten that left buttock now. Arms alongside the body. And then inhale, sweep those arms up alongside the ears. And breathe. Move into warrior one now. Good, and then with that exhale, don't move the legs, sweep the arms down, fold them across the small of the back as we come into humble warrior. Take an inhale, lengthen up, and then exhale. Again, you're bending from the hip, bringing the chest forward. Continue to breathe. Good, and then with the inhale, press into that foot to lift the torso. And then straighten the right knee. Again, with your next inhale, lengthen up through the spine. And then with the exhale, bending from the hip. So really focus on that low back, that you're not rounding and bending from the waist. It's just a hinge from the hip, stopping when you feel that hamstring getting a little too tight. Again, you should just have a nice deep stretch, coming up probably about 45 degrees or so. Good, and breathing. Good, and then inhale, lift the torso. As you exhale, release the arms. Come back to bending that right knee so you can step that left foot forward. All right, so here's where our chairs are going to come in. We're going to come into Revolved Half Moon Pose. So you're going to set up one chair at the top of the mat and the other chair at the end of the mat here. And again, you may have to adjust a little bit. I'm just going to kind of guess what's a good length for me. So we're going to be using the chairs for support. You can always do this up against the wall, maybe just using, I usually just use the back chair and then use a block in the front. So as you build strength with this, you can start eliminating chairs. It is one of the harder poses, so that's why we're using this support. All right, so we're going to start by facing that chair at the top of the mat. So you have both seats of the chairs facing you. Then we're going to start with the right leg forward. So step the left foot back just a little bit, and you're going to come forward with the left hand and place it in the chair. Now, bend the right knee, pick that left foot up, and it's going to go on that rear chair. So I can tell I've got my chair a little too far back. So I'm going to pull that forward just a little bit. Good. So my foot should be resting on that back chair. Now, I'm going to start by looking down at the chair. My hips are facing down to the floor, and I want to keep my hips facing down towards the floor or parallel with the floor. Then what I'm going to do is turn. So I'm turning from the waist to the right, and then if you can, extend that right arm up. If that's too much, just keep your hand on your hip. Good, and then continue to breathe. Now that right knee is straight, but you don't want to hyperextend it, so just keep it kind of soft or maybe just a little micro bend in that knee. And you're probably feeling that right across here. It's a great stretch for the piriformis and the glute. Good. And then exhale, go ahead and turn back towards the seat of the chair. Step that left foot off. Come on back up to standing because we're just going to walk it out. Kind of shake it out a little bit, that standing leg. And then we'll try it on the other side. So I'm going to switch sides here so you can see me. All right, so this time the left leg becomes our standing leg. So we'll shift the weight over there. And your right hand is going to come down to the seat of the chair. Then pick up your right foot, place it on your back chair, just the ball of the foot. Good. So remember, hips stay parallel with the floor. So then as you begin to turn to the right, you're twisting from the waist, either keep that left hand on the chair or extending it up. And breathe. Important to keep breathing all the time. You don't want to hold your breath. Good. And then go ahead and exhale. Bring that left arm down. Release that right leg. Come on back up to standing. And again, shake out those legs, especially that standing leg. And then go ahead and just put one of the chairs, the one at either end of the mat, it doesn't matter, back. We will use one of the chairs again. Hopefully that won't fall in the middle of what we're doing. We're okay. All right. So we're going to start by coming down on the mat. And when you come down on the mat, you want to have your back to the seat of the chair. So we're going to start in a little core exercise. So this is called Dandasana. Sounds kind of like Tadasana, which is our standing mountain pose. And that's because it's similar, only we're seated. So all those alignment cues that I give every time we stand in Tadasana, a lot of them apply here. So sitting up nice and tall, here's a little cue that you can do. Roll over on your right side, bring your left hand down and pull your buttocks, or all those muscles back here, away from your sits bone. And then roll on your left, pull the buttock or that glute away from your sits bones. And then when you sit back down, do you feel how you're a little more grounded doing that? All right, so the legs are just about hip width apart. Your heels are on the floor, toes are pointing up. Your hips, knees, and ankles should be in a nice straight line. Now, the key here is keeping the back straight. So we're going to bring our arms alongside the body to give us some support. So you can see if I just stand or sit here, I'm kind of letting my spine curve a little bit. So pressing into my hands, I can lift my chest, pull my shoulders down. Good. And then gazing forward, I'm going to take a few breaths. Now, if your hamstrings are tight, you may be back here to start, and that's okay. You want to eventually work your way so that your back is perfectly straight. So this is a nice pose to work on just stretching those hamstrings a little bit too. And again, you're just going to work in a nice comfortable range, never any pain or discomfort. Good. All right. As you relax it out, grab your blanket, and we're going to open it up in front of your chair. So the back bend we're going to do is camel pose. I like using the chair for it. So you're going to come onto your knees again in a kneeling position. And then you're going to adjust your chair. So when you bring your hands back, make sure you can hold on to the seat of the chair. Let me get my chair aligned here. A little too close. Or maybe the legs of the chair. So once you have your chair where it needs to be, you want to extend through the spine, so similar to Tadasana. We start with the shoulders, hips, and knees in a nice straight line. Then we'll, with our next inhale, begin to lift the chest, looking up, and then exhale, come into the back bend. Try to keep the hips pretty much stacked over the knees, and then bring the hands back either to the seat or to the legs. Pull those shoulders together to open the chest. And breathe. Now, if that bothers your neck, then just hold your neck up a little bit. If it bothers it, to drop it down. Good. Let's take another full breath. Good. And then release by lifting the torso, relaxing it out. Push the chair back a little bit so you have room to come into child's pose. Just to stretch out that low back. Again, stacking your fists to rest your head. Good. And then with the inhale, grab your block. We're going to come into a twist. So go ahead and fold your blanket to the side. And I'm going to turn around so you can see what you're going to do with your legs. All right. So bring your block to the side. So when you're in hands and knees here, up a little bit, swing your legs to the right. And then as you begin to drop your hips down, bring your block over and rest your left hip. So I just have my left hip on the block. And you can see my left foot is just resting in the sole of my right foot. All right, so I kind of square my hips here because I don't want to be leaning to the left. So that's where the block helps. Then I'm going to take my right hand and place it on my left knee. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, I'm going to turn to the left, looking out over my left shoulder, bringing my left hand around behind me. And taking a few breaths. Good, and then releasing the twist back to center. Bring yourself back to hands and knees. Bring your block around the other side. Sweep the legs over to the other side. Rest the top of the right foot now in the sole of the left foot. Bring your block behind you so that you can rest your right hip on the block and to square the hips. I'll bring my left hand to the outside of my right knee. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, bring my right hand around behind me as I turn and look to the right. So from the front, look, this is what it looks like. I've got my block under, actually you guys are going this way. Good. So you're turning and looking to the right. Whoops, which would be this way. Okay, here we go, to the right. Good, and then go ahead and exhale and release. All right, from here we're going to come down on the mat on our backs. You will need your strap and have whatever you would need for Savasana close by too. So if you need to just turn your chair to the side, give you a little room, go ahead. And then rolling on your side, lowering yourself down and rolling onto your back. So bending the knees. Pull your right knee in towards your chest so you can place the middle of the strap across the ball of the right foot. And then holding on to each end of the strap, just extending the leg, focusing on the back of the knee. Walk your hands up the strap, pulling the shoulders down the back, and then depending on your low back, if you need some support, just keep that right or left knee bent. If not, then extending the left leg down the mat and pressing through the heel. So this is our Supta P. As you can tell, a nice hamstring stretch. Good. So hopefully they're all warmed up from your standing postures. And just continue to breathe. Good. Take another full breath. And then putting both ends of the strap into the right hand, we'll begin to drop the right leg out to the side. Now, if you lengthen the strap a little bit, bend your right arm so you can rest your elbow on the mat or on the floor, and that will help support that leg. And then you also want to externally rotate that right leg. So try to get the heel in line with your toes. Now that left hip needs to stay on the mat. So that means you may have to bring that leg up a little bit so you can bring the left hip down, okay? So I'll let you adjust that. And then we'll take a couple of breaths. Good, and then go ahead and bend that right knee as you bring the leg back to center. Remove the strap, and we'll try it on the other side. So bending that left knee, place a strap around the ball of the foot. And again, extending the leg. It doesn't matter if the leg is at 90 degrees, that's not important. What's important is that the arms are straight. You pull the shoulders down the back, and then press that left thigh away from you. That will straighten the back of the knee. And we focus on the back of the knee because the hamstring crosses the back of the knee and attaches on the tibia. So that's how you stretch that hamstring. Again, you should just be feeling a nice deep stretch. There shouldn't be any discomfort or pain. Bend that right knee if you need to. That will help support the low back. And then continue to breathe. Good, one more full breath. And then placing both ends of the strap in the left hand, begin to drop that left leg out to the side. Again, focus on the right hip. When you start to feel yourself tilting over to the left and that hip coming off the mat, then stop. Lengthen the strap so you can rest your left elbow on the floor to support that leg. Good, and continue to breathe. Good, and then bring that leg back to center as you remove the strap. Go ahead and put your strap to the side. And then bending both knees, widen your knees so that walk your feet out to the edges of the mat. And we're just going to do a little hip opener here called Windshield Wiper. So you're just going to drop the knees down to the right, come back to center, and drop them left. So bringing the arms out to the side, and just in a nice, steady movement here. Just feeling a nice stretch. Maybe pausing for just a second or two from each side. Good. Coming back to center, walk the feet together, and then take your right knee. You're going to hug it into the chest, extend the left leg. So just stretching out that hamstring a little bit. You got quite a workout today. Good. And then pull that left knee in. And switch. Try it again, right. Good. And left. And then extending that left leg out as you bring yourself into Savasana, grabbing whatever you need, maybe like the blanket under your head or rolled up under your knees. I'm going to come up to a seated position while you do that. So as you make yourself comfortable in Savasana, make sure that those palms are rotated up towards the ceiling. Legs are extended out in front of you. And go ahead and close the eyes. Just taking a moment to again notice how your body feels. Hopefully you've worked through any tension or tightness that you noticed at the beginning of the class. And then bringing the attention back to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. As it enters the nostrils and flows into the lungs. Focus on the rib cage as it expands with each inhale and contracts with each exhale. Focus on the physical body. Relax all the muscles from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Release any tension or tightness. Focus on the mind. Release any thoughts, worries, or anxieties. Try to come back in, just acknowledge them and release them, turning the attention back to the breath. Again, notice the inhale and notice the exhale. allow yourself just a few moments to completely let go. Begin to deepen your breath. And then start moving your fingers and toes. And then the wrists and the ankles. And when you're ready, bending both knees and rolling onto your right side in a fetal position and taking a few breaths here. And then using your left hand to support you, pushing yourself back up into your seated position. And keeping the body relaxed and the eyes closed for another moment. Focus on the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. And we'll take one more deep cleansing breath. So take a nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.